Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're looking at a story that literally blurs the line between our screens and our reality. We tend to think of our digital lives, the apps, the games, those online communities as totally separate from the physical world. It's supposed to be a place to escape, right? Well, what happens when the stakes in a virtual environment get so insanely high that they spill over into real devastating violence? We're unpacking a really shocking case out of Indore, Madhya Pradesh today. It's a stark cautionary tale of how hours of screen time and digital wagers escalated into some absolutely severe, irreversible, real-world consequences. How did a dispute over a virtual game lead to a very real murder in Indore? That is the central mystery we're going to unravel for you today. On the surface, online gaming is just pixels, leaderboards, and avatars. But beneath all that, there can be very real money, incredible stress, and dangerously hidden economies. We're going to examine the facts of this case step by step, just to understand exactly how a simple digital pastime totally transformed into a true crime tragedy. Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. A grim discovery. So on May 7th, local authorities in the Betma police station area made a grim discovery when they found the body of a man named Samir Patel. Now, in the immediate aftermath of finding a victim, the clock absolutely starts ticking for investigators. And what's really notable here is how incredibly fast the authorities moved. By the very next Monday, the police were already holding a press conference to announce an arrest. Acting on a specific tip-off, they detained a suspect who actually confessed to the crime right away. But while the arrest happened fast, the reason behind the crime, well, that left the community completely stunned. Section 2, the digital motive. Because that confession we just mentioned, it led investigators straight to an entirely unexpected, completely digital motive. Now, what's really interesting about this is the stark contrast between the two guys involved. On one side, we have the victim, Samir Patel, who was 32 years old. And on the other side, we have the accused, Ramzan Patel, who is just 19. That's a massive 13-year age gap. Think about it. In the real world, a 19-year-old and a 32-year-old probably aren't hanging out in the same social circles or doing business together. But the digital world, it doesn't care about your age. On the internet, these two were peers. They were operating in the exact same virtual space, which completely leveled the playing field and brought them directly into contact. Which brings us right to the core motive. The suspect's confession revealed that this murder stemmed from a financial dispute over money won and lost in online gaming. This wasn't a bank loan gone bad. It wasn't some traditional business partnership that failed. No, this was a huge debt built entirely inside an online gaming ecosystem. The wagers, the wins, the losses, they were all happening strictly through a screen, but the financial obligations attached to them, those were incredibly real. Let's move to and see how this builds in Section 3, the math of the debt. According to police, the 19-year-old accused, Ramzan, had actually racked up a staggering debt of 10 lakh rupees to Samir through these online games. To put that into perspective, that is a life-changing amount of money for a lot of people. But the dynamic of this debt is absolutely crucial. As the breakdown brilliantly illustrates, Ramzan had actually managed to repay 7 lakh rupees of that total. That's a huge sum, especially for a teenager. It definitely shows he was actively trying to make good on this underground digital obligation. But it was that remaining chunk of debt that caused the whole situation to completely fall apart. 3 lakh rupees. So the crucial point is, all of this, a man losing his life, a teenager throwing his entire future away, multiple families destroyed, literally all of it ultimately came down to an argument over this specific remaining balance. A dispute broke out over those final 3 lakhs, completely shifting the conflict from a really stressful financial burden into a deadly physical confrontation. Section 4, the fatal confrontation. This is exactly where the virtual mathematical dispute turned violently real. Superintendent of Police Rajendra Kumar Verma laid out the brutal reality of what happened next. He stated, quote, Ramzan allegedly killed Samir by striking him on the head with a stone during the argument. Just take a second to really process that. An argument that started inside a sophisticated digital interface spanning complex online networks ended in the most visceral, primitive way imaginable: a stone. It's just a jarring reminder for all of us of how incredibly fast the psychological tension from our digital lives can manifest as real-world physical violence. Section 5, the digital trail. Because as it turns out, the physical crime scene is only half the story. Now, law enforcement has to follow the digital trail. They've got a clear set of next steps here.
First, they are meticulously examining the mobile phones of both the accused and the deceased. They really need to figure out the true duration and scale of their online gaming habit. Like, how long had this been going on for a teenager to reach a staggering 10 lakh rupee debt? And finally, perhaps most importantly, investigators are trying to identify if anyone else was connected to this activity. Was this just an isolated wager between two guys? Or is this actually part of a much larger, hidden network of high-stakes, unregulated online gambling in the area? Right now, those phones hold all the answers.
Which leaves us with this final, lingering thought. When virtual games carry real-world debts, who is truly paying the price? This entire case in Indore really shows us that the cost isn't just measured in rupees, and the consequences aren't just a game-over screen that you can hit restart on. As our physical and digital lives continue to merge closer and closer together, we've got to stay acutely aware of the real-world impact of our online habits. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer today. Keep questioning, keep learning, and we'll see you next time.